All right, everybody, welcome back. Good late morning. We've got more strong safeties to do, and now we have moved pretty firmly onto the top 100. We're basically just cleaning up on the safeties that I didn't talk about in the free safety series, right? When you think about it, that's what this boils down to. We're just taking the safeties who I didn't get a crack at, and now we're getting a crack at them. So down into day three, first guy is going to be Tykee Smith of Georgia. Another Georgia safety. They produce a lot of them. 23 when the season starts. Small. Small, and yet I'm talking about him here. And I'll talk about why in a minute. 5'10, 202 pounds. Short arms, 31 and 5/8, 9 and a quarter hands. Nice 40, 4.46. Acceleration's a no-go, though. So good top speed, but it takes him a while to get there. Vert was okay. Broad was okay. Most of the big boards put him in the fourth round. That's where it seems like he's generally expected to end up. Had a breakout year in 2023. Didn't do a ton before 2023. 70 tackles, 8.5 for loss, 2 sacks, 4 picks last year. So he was really good for a real good Georgia defense. The thing with Tykee Smith is that he's very physical for somebody who is his size. He is a smaller safety, but he is very physical and very strong, and he uses it well. His burst looks good on tape, even though it didn't show up at the combine. His closing speed is good. So he's a football player. He's not a track runner, I guess. Should be good on special teams as well. If you get him, he should be somebody who provides a lot of special teams value. And I think he's pretty good in man coverage, especially if you put him up against like a tight end. He's capable of hanging with receivers at the route break in man. So some positives here for sure with Tykee Smith. Still small, and you have to wonder how that's going to work in the NFL. Granted, he's playing at Georgia, so you're playing some pretty decent competition when you're playing at Georgia, but you have to wonder if Tykee Smith is going to be able to do the things that he's doing now in the NFL. He plays very aggressively. He's somebody who plays with a lot of fire, which is good. But it also leads to him giving up stuff over the top. So if you're looking at him as like a deep safety or last line of defense, you might not be too happy with what you get. So he does get beaten over the top, and that's something that is certainly part of the package when you're talking about a complete all-around safety. And it does seem like he misses a lot of tackles. The elusive ball carriers can really get him. His arms are a little bit short. That's probably not helping matters. But just generally, it feels like there are opportunities for him to make plays on running backs that he just doesn't quite cash in on because he is that slightly smaller guy, and no matter how hard he tries, that does rear its ugly head sometimes. So I I like him. He's got a chance. I think that when you take a look at how physical he is as a player, while still being capable of sticking to route trees on man, you could probably make it work. It's not ideal, it's not perfect. You would prefer somebody a little bit bigger, somebody who's a little bit more safe when you leave them deep. You would prefer somebody a little bit more versatile, but there is some flexibility here with Tykee Smith. So, fourth round. Fourth round seems okay to me. Um, Realistically, if you got him right now, you'd be looking at him as like a third safety coming in off the bench, maybe fourth, depending on what's going on with Jarek Reed, or if you got somebody else. So it's not like you're going to ask a ton of him immediately, or maybe ever. So fourth round's fine. I could do that. All right, next up we have a very interesting one. A lot of people ask me about him. A lot of people talk about him. James Williams of Miami. 21 years old, so still very young, which is appealing. He's a Cam Chancellor size. 6'4", 231 pounds, 33 and 5/8 inch arms, 9.5 inch hands, so he's big. He's got tremendous size, and with great size comes miserable testing because you can't move that well. Slow. Acceleration's actually okay, not good, but it's passable, and the explosiveness is non-existent. But when you look at how big he is, I guess that's something we live with. Walter loves him. Walter Football loves him. They put him in the second, which is silly. Big boards put him in the fifth or sixth. He's probably a fifth round pick. Aggregate has him around the fifth. Had 2 productive years at Miami, these last couple. Well over 120 tackles, or well, I think actually right at about 120 tackles. Tackle and a half for loss, 2 picks, 11 passes defense, 3 forced fumbles. Good PFF grades, good player. The thing with James Williams is he will be like literally an extra linebacker on the field for you. He is as big or bigger than many modern linebackers. So there's no hyperbole here. He is another linebacker out there for you. He's a great tackler. He uses those long arms well to wrap up. He knows how to tackle through the ball carrier, not just tackling out of control. Should be good on special teams as well. You're getting a good special teamer if you get James Williams. And the way he closes down to the line of scrimmage is, I mean, it's like I said, he converts to linebacker very quickly out there. He gets to the ball carrier with speed even when he's playing back. So there's some really exciting stuff here. Now, when you're this big and this slow and this unathletic compared to your peers, there is a price to pay, and he does get beat up in coverage. Coverage is not a strength of his, man or zone, and he's probably a pure box safety in this league, mostly. You're not going to be able to give him deep responsibilities and tell him, hey, go protect the back line, go protect 50 yards down the field. It's bad. Even though he is a bigger guy and a more physical guy, blockers still have a tendency to take him out of the play. He doesn't fight through them well. He doesn't slip them well. Doesn't really understand how to deal with blockers all that well. He's not athletic. I mean, the testing numbers speak for themselves. There's a chance that he just ends up playing linebacker in the NFL, period. Like, he might just end up at the linebacker spot because that's what he'll end up being able to do. His instincts in zone are pretty poor. Like, his understanding of, like, how to follow a route, his understanding of what to do in his zones is just not that good. So, not that that goes away if he's a linebacker, but it's mitigated heavily. So, obviously, there's a use case for James Williams out there somewhere. He's got clear value in this league. If he was here, he'd probably just be a full-time linebacker or a part-time safety, part-time linebacker. You'd have to get creative to make it work. And even at linebacker, it's not like he's going to be great in coverage. Just because you move him to linebacker doesn't make everything better. It just mitigates it a little bit. So, if you're willing to get creative with it, I'd spend a 4th-round pick on him. I like him. There's some really appealing stuff here. It's not hard to figure out what's good with James Williams. But we got to be careful here because he just doesn't fit what we're trying to do. You take a look at the guys who typically play safety for Mike Macdonald, they don't play like this. All right, Kitan Oladapo is our last guy for this video, and he's a Pac-12 guy, Oregon State, 23 years old, good size. He's got strong safety size, 6'2", 216 pounds, 32 and 3/8 arms, 9 1/4 hands. Testing was average, kind of slow, not very quick, not very explosive, just bleh. PFF actually has him going virtually undrafted. ESPN has him in the late 7th. CBS likes him. They have him in the 4th, and the aggregate has him in the 5th. 5th seems reasonably realistic to me. Put up a lot of production in the last 2 years. Over 150 tackles, 7 for loss, 3.5 sacks, a couple picks last year. Really good PFF grade last year, by the way. It was a monster breakout year, 88.3. 14 passes defensed over the last 2 years as well. So he's got some ball production. He makes plays on the ball legitimately. He's another guy that plays with the right kind of temperament. He plays with a lot of strength, plays with a lot of power, plays physically. He's really good coming up in run support, really good at dropping back into deep, and then coming up when he sees the run and becoming basically another linebacker. Good tackler. Doesn't miss a lot of tackles. Fundamentally sound. Handles tight ends well in coverage. He's somebody who can be put on a tight end and keep up. Makes plays on the ball when it's in the air. Like I said, his ball skills are pretty good. 14 passes defense. Tells a pretty good story. And he should also be pretty good on special teams. Excuse me. So that's the upshot with Oladapo. Now, he is another one of these guys. Clearly meant to be a box safety. Clearly meant to play near the line of scrimmage. Clearly meant to be a strong safety. So how is this going to work with Mike McDonald? Maybe not so well. The further away he gets from the line of scrimmage, the worse he produces typically. He's not going to cover a lot of space. He's not really somebody you want back there providing the last line of defense. He doesn't work through traffic the way you would like. He doesn't shed blockers or slip blockers the way you sometimes need to, which if he's going to be a box safety, you'd certainly prefer something else. And I think there are some cerebral elements of the game that are still a little bit lacking with Oladapo. Doesn't seem like he totally grasps things like, route concepts and this is what to do in zone defense and angles, little things like that. Things that can easily be fixed, though, typically. So he's a traditional strong safety. I like him. I think that the fact that he can play good man coverage against tight ends would maybe offer him the flexibility to work decently in a Mike McDonald defense, but it's certainly not a clean fit. It's not a great fit. So I'll go fourth round. And I know I've said fourth round a lot today, but that's how I feel. I think all these guys are just kind of like, okay, you can take a little bit of a flyer on them. They have some tools that are worthy of a non-zero investment, like a real actual something that you push into them. But at the same time, I don't see the ideal fit with that Mike McDonald defense as I know it. All right. Another video coming later. We'll look at a few more guys at this position, but we are almost done with the safety position entirely, and we are about to have a very good picture of what we might do. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks.